Guys, and welcome back. As promised in my last video, I told you guys that I was going to come back with my top 10 of 2019. This was so hard for me to kind of narrow it down. I think the list initially was 19 for 2019, but I felt like as the years go on, that could become a little excessive, and it would make for a really long video. So I tried my darndest to narrow this list down to my top 10 reads. So I have a huge stack here. I'm going to kind of talk about the books, read a synopsis of it, and then just kind of give you my general thoughts on the book itself and why I loved it so much. So, first one, which was our December Book Girl Magic pick, was I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. It was one of my last reads for the year, and I'm just completely in awe of Maya Angelou's story and all that she went through as a little girl and how she became to be the phenomenal woman that she was. So the book description is sent by her mother to live with their devout grandmother in a small southern town. Maya and her brother endure the ache of abandonment and prejudice. At 8 years old and back at her mother's side in St. Louis, Maya is attacked by a man many times her age and has to live with the consequences for a lifetime. Years later, in San Francisco, Maya learns that love for herself, the kindness of others, her own strong spirit, and the ideas of great authors will allow her to be free instead of imprisoned. Poetic and powerful, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings will touch hearts and change minds for as long as people read. And I totally agree with this. I kind of love the aspect of taking it old school when we do our Book Girl Magic reads, and I really had heard great things about this book and wanted to know more about Maya and her story and the tragic things that she had gone through, you know, being raped and sexually abused as an 8-year-old. Like, that's just a lot, and in turn made her go mute for many, many years. So it was just such a tragic story, but also a beautiful story to kind of see what Maya went through to become who she is and turn these pains into works of art. And so this book was just amazing, and I'm so excited that I got to read it last year. So definitely one of my top 10. And by the way, these books aren't in any type of order. They're just random because I could never select an order for any of these. Like, that would be just impossible. Okay, so on to the next one. It was Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. A story of justice and redemption. And so basically Bryan Stevenson is a lawyer who has many clients who are on death row, and he's freed a lot of innocent people that are on death row for murders they simply did not commit. And so it follows his story with Walter. That's one of the main cases that is all throughout the book, and then in between there's smaller cases of other clients that he's had, that he's helped, and some that he hasn't helped, and trying to gain their freedom. So the movie is coming out this weekend, and so I'm going to see it, but I really wanted to read this book so that I could know more about him and the story, and, you know, see just how powerful it was. And this book was simply amazing. The stories were simply amazing, simply heartbreaking. And so I'm super excited to go see the movie. And yeah, we read it as a book club. We kind of added it into our November read along with Sugar. We read this, so we look forward to having a group outing this weekend and seeing what the movie's all about. Now, for my next book, this should be no surprise. You guys know that I have a love affair with Jasmine Guillory's books, so The Wedding Party made the list of books. It's absolutely my favorite Jasmine Guillory read yet. You know, we love Alexa and Drew. If you guys have read the series that starts off with the wedding date where Alexa and Drew meet. Well, this one is Alexa's friends, Maddie and Theo, her coworker Theo, that kind of have this love-hate relationship, well, hate relationship that they build off of, and then eventually blossoms into a romance. So I absolutely loved this book. It was just such a cute story, fast-paced. It just kept you intrigued the entire time. So The Wedding Party is definitely one that was one of my top 10s. Now, my last read of 2019 was Tiffany D. Jackson's Monday's Not Coming, and this was kind of a tie between this one and Allegedly, because I read them November and December. So it was kind of a tie between the two and which one I loved more, because they're both thrillers, both suspenseful. So I think I'd kind of have a tie, if that can count, an author as a tie. Tiffany D. Jackson gets a spot on my list. This story, and you guys heard me talk about it a little bit in my last video, so I won't go too into depth with this, but about two best friends. You know, they go away for the summer. One of the friends comes back, and Claudia finds that her best friend Monday is missing. And so the whole book, she's trying to figure out what happened to her friend, why she's gone missing, why school personnel and her family just don't seem too concerned that she's just not missing, and things aren't adding up. And so it's just such a thriller and will keep you on edge from beginning to end. So definitely add that one to your list. Another book that was kind of unexpected for me, I didn't expect to get as much out of it as I did. Gabrielle Bernstein, The Universe Has Your Back. And this book, I learned so much. If you guys are into the universe and law of attraction and just manifesting things, this book is spot on. Such a great guide to getting you to understand that and how to manifest your dreams and things like that. So transforming your fear into faith. And sometimes fear can be such a big blocker in us achieving our goals and manifesting our dreams. So there's some key things that she said in here that really stuck with me, and I had these aha moments on why certain things I would try to manifest didn't work. So for me, it was like a switch just went on and it completely changed. And since reading this book, I've actually like tested a couple of things with manifesting and have drawn them to me. So super powerful book if you're into that kind of thing, if you believe in the law of attraction and manifesting and goodness and good vibes and good energy. Definitely read that book. Now, this one is young adult, so I'm super excited for this, but Slay by Brittany Morris. Man, when I tell you this book was so good. Slay is about a girl, I think she's in high school, I believe. I can't remember if it's high school or if she's in middle school. Anyhow, she builds a video game that is for black people, that has black cultural references. It's just the coolest game. Like, I really hope that Brittany Morris makes this a real live video game, because it's just the coolest concept. And so she ends up having, it's only supposed to be for black people, and the only way that you can get to play the video game is you have to get access from another member. So that's kind of how it keeps it tight and keeps it legit. So one day somebody who's white gets in the game and wants to battle her, and basically was like, I don't think it's right that you're excluding others from, you know, white people from this game, and that it's only inclusive of black people, and this is offensive, and basically like tries to tell her that she's racist and that he wants to battle her, and if he wins, then, you know, she has to shut down the game. So it's just kind of her trying to figure out who this person is, and is it someone close to her, and what's going on. So very good book. I love this one. I probably will read it again. Because it's that good. So definitely add this one to your list. It came out last year and you won't be disappointed at all. Let's go with Educated by Tara Westover. I won't lie, like I saw this on Barack Obama's reading list. I believe it was for 2018. He had this book on there, and I was intrigued. I'm intrigued by a lot of books. And then I saw the buzz on Bookstagram and just so many people who continually posted about this book and how amazing it is. And so this book is about Tara and just living this life in the mountains where they're secluded from like just real life things, friends. They don't go to school, so there's just so many disadvantages. And even the first sentence says that she was 17 the first time she stepped foot into a classroom. And so it kind of follows this mountain life and how caged, I guess, she was, and how like she just didn't know so much about the real world and the happenings around her and even how to read. And so she comes up with this goal of wanting to go to college one day and trying to figure that out. So it's just kind of a struggle of reinventing herself, and trying not to like offend her father, but a lot of her father and mother's beliefs were just kind of out there. And so she just decided to go out on her own and make a life for herself, but it kind of goes through her struggle to get there as someone who doesn't really know how to read and write and things like that, and how she actually ends up going to college and making a life for herself, and her brothers and their issues and the issues that being secluded and having the parents that they had, what that caused for them and how they grew up. So Educated was such a good read for me this year. Jodi Picoult, Small Great Things. This book blew me away. It is about a lady named Ruth who is a labor and delivery nurse, and she's working in a small hospital. She has 20 years experience, and these white supremacists come in and go into labor and have the baby, and she comes in the next morning and wants to do her routine checks and check on the baby, and the father just loses it. The fact that a black person is touching his child and wants to sue the court and sue Ruth and all of this stuff, because there was a note after Ruth that she specifically is not to touch that baby or do anything with that baby. Well, she's left in a room to monitor. The baby starts having medical issues, and she's sitting there like, do I save this baby? I'm not supposed to touch him, but I'm the only one here in this room, so what do I do? And she ends up trying to revive the baby, and I believe the baby ends up dying. Yeah, the baby goes into cardiac distress while Ruth is alone in the nursery. But does she obey orders or does she intervene? She hesitates performing CPR, and as a result is charged with a serious crime, which is the death of their baby. So you kind of get to go through her trial in court and relive this incident and watch Ruth basically fight for her life, and how the world has basically got her cornered back up against the wall, and everyone's against her. So great story. I love the research that Jodi did in writing this book, because when you got to listen to the audio, she basically tells a lot of the research that she did, because this was based on a true story. And so she interviewed a lot of people to kind of get the feelings and emotions of Ruth and make sure that she could tell this being a white woman, be able to tell this story from the perspective of a black woman. So I appreciated that she did. She put a lot of thought and research into this book when creating that. So, and last but not least, book number 10. Again, not in any specific order, but this is the final book on my top 10 list. Assata by Assata Shakur. I won't lie, I was intimidated by this book for a couple of years and had been wanting to read it for a couple of years. I think I got it for Christmas back in maybe 2018. No, maybe 2017. And Black History Month, I think, or it was one of the Brigade reads, which really helped encourage me to read this with them, with the Buddy Read Brigade. And when I tell y'all, this book was simply amazing. Hearing Asada's story as a Black Panther, being on the run, shooting a police officer or a state trooper, and it just changed her whole world. And she becomes a target, and they're trying to find her, and her escape to Cuba and all of these things. So you kind of get to learn her side of the story and how she was treated. Because I think after she shot him, she was caught, but then escaped. So it's a lot going on in this story, but it will blow your mind. I definitely recommend reading this. You won't be disappointed. So all in all, I think I had an awesome year in reading. Narrowing it down to 10 was just very difficult, extremely difficult. Like I think last year I did 12. This time I tried to do better and stick with the top 10 of my must reads. I'm trying to think if I would add any more, what they would be. Solwi by Lupita Nyong'o. That would be another one that I would add to the list, or that I had on my list, that I simply removed because, you know, it's a children's book, but it's definitely one that I would recommend. My daughter absolutely loved it when I read it to her. So, super excited. But that pretty much wraps up my top 10 list. I will make sure and put them in the comments below so that you guys can check them out. But and I will talk about them a little bit on Instagram too, and post the actual books there. So be sure to follow the Instagram page, book_girl_magic on Instagram, and you can see these pics that I have on there. I'll also link it on the bottom too. So with that being said, I think that I am done talking about this top 10, and I'm super excited to see what 2020 brings for me reading wise. I'm excited. That's all I can say. I'm already looking at my TBR shelves and wanting to pull out some things that I want to read that I've had for years, and also reads that are classics. I really am trying to go through the classics. So again, I'm super excited. I think I told y'all in the last video, I read 58 books. So blowing my overall record. And so I'm super excited to see what this year brings. So tell me what some of your top favorites were in the comments, and I look forward to hearing y'all. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.